Okay, welcome to the second live premiere from the double DIY build, the 600-gallon Asian Jungle Stream Aquarium. So last week we did the 750-gallon Amazonian Islands build behind me, and tonight we're going to finish off the double DIY builds with the live premiere on the 600-gallon Asian Jungle Stream Aquarium. This thing is a beast. So if you thought a lot went into that, that was nothing compared to what went into this. Even though it's smaller, it's a more complicated scape 600-gallon Asian Jungle Stream Aquarium. Just like last week, we're gonna start from where we left off with the build. We're gonna finish the water test, the drain test. We're gonna start building up the substrate, the aquascape. We're gonna get the system running, get the water chemistry right, and then we're gonna move the fish over. And then once we do, we'll see them in their first 5 minutes, their first feeding, the whole 9 yards. So thank you for joining me in this live premiere. I'm in live chat with you right now. I had a great time last week. I expect to tonight as well. So sit back, enjoy the video, and let's see the 600-gallon Asian Jungle Stream Aquarium come to life. All right, it is finally aquascaping time. But as always, there's always something you gotta do before you start aquascaping. So what that something is we gotta get all that water out of these tanks from the test fill. And we can't just pump it out immediately. We need to do another test. We need to do the, did I line up the drains properly so that the power goes off, the water drains down in the sump and doesn't overflow. Well, we did that test, and for the 600-gallon, it's very close. Let me show you. So it didn't overflow, but it is right to the hairy edge. That is too close for comfort, so I'll be making a slight adjustment on the drains for the 600-gallon. 750 things are looking better. It's not as close, but it's definitely, yeah, I don't know, it's slightly higher than I like to have it. So gonna make a little bit of adjustment on the drains for the 700 as well. And then I will continue pumping out all this water. So what you see right here is actually water that I went to top off the 3,000 gallon. And I'm gonna use all of this water in what's left of 750 and what's left of the 600, and I'm gonna top off all my tanks, do some water changes, and then use the rest of the water to clean off some of the scaping materials outside. So let me get doing that, and also let's stage all the scaping materials in here, and we'll see what we're working with. All right, for any of those people who didn't get enough aquarium DIY aquascaping with the 750-gallon Amazonian Islands build, well, you're in luck. There's a 600-gallon Asian Jungle build to go. And I can promise you this, for as much as went into the Amazonian Islands build, there's about 3 times as much going into the Asian Jungle Aquarium. I can promise you one thing, it will definitely live up to its name for sure. Let me show you some of the stuff that's going in there. Okay, so it's time to turn that 600-gallon, 6 foot wide by 4 feet deep by 3 foot tall canvas into an Asian Jungle Aquarium. So what are we going to start with? We're going to start with substrate. We're going to start with, I don't know, 1,500 pounds of sand. So we're going to give this a 2-inch sand bed everywhere in the aquarium. And then to start building up the hardscape, we're going to put in, 1,000 pounds of boulders like these guys here. And, once we get those in there, we're going to have to soften that up. So we'll soften that up with some black river stone, some mixed river stones, and of course, lots and lots and lots of Malaysian driftwood. Then, of course, once we have the areas built up and we have the wood and the rock, well, we're not going to have a sand base. We're actually going to have a fluorite base. So it's going to be the black fluorite. So it's going to be similar to the 125-gallon version of this aquarium. So you're going to have your 2 inches of sand, then you're going to have your top 1 inch is going to be the black fluorite. So we're still going to have the black, a lot of gray. We're going to have the Malaysian rootwood color. And then, of course, you can't have a jungle aquarium without lots of plants. Okay, I got my work cut out for me getting all of the stuff from the ground into the aquarium, so let me get on to that, and then for each major stage of the build, I'll bring you guys back in and we'll check it out. We'll see how it looks. All right, time for me to get to work. Okay, stage 1, we have the 2 inches of play sand in there, all leveled out and everything. And you can see we've just put the rocks inside here, just doing a little roughing. This is not actually how they're going to look. And the reason I can't really set them up yet is because the secret part of this scape, I think that's going to make it special, the part that the loaches will love, is coming in the form of these PVC pipes
And I'm going to show you in a second what I mean, but I need to be able to rough them in to fit everything around it. Let's go take a look at what I really mean with the PVC pipes. Alright, this should make it a little easier to visualize. As you can see, I've created these PVC structures with holes drilled on all sides of them. And this is sort of the secret part of the scape, is these are going to be integrated into all those built up hardscape areas in the aquarium. This is where all the fill stuff's coming from. The reason I had the fill lava rock and everything, because we're going to be building up portions of the tank quite deep, and embedded in them are going to be these PVC pipes for the fish to swim through. Now they're not going to be white, they're getting ready to get spray painted black. That's why they're out here on the drop cloth. But once these are painted and ready to go in, I'll move the rocks around them and fill in, and you'll get a good idea then of kind of where I'm going with this. Okay, even though you're not going to see them, they're now painted black, so just in case we don't have any glaring white sticking out in the scape, but they're ready to go in the tank. So let me get them in there, and I think it'll really come together when you see the tunnels built into the hardscape. Okay, I want to do a quick pause doing the hardscape just so you can fully see what's going on. So if you look there, you see there's two cave entrances in that formation there, and then two over there as well. And if we go up top, it's a little easier to visualize. So the cave complex goes through there. Keeping in mind that the tubes, they're all holes drilled on all sides of them. So with that porous, large lava rock and the holes, you're still going to have water flowing through there, basically continually. There will be, you know, other layers of rock on top, and then smaller, you know, like gravel, you know, basically the fluorite black down there, which will match them with the rest. And this is just over on the other corner, same thing, you have the cave in there. And then in the middle, there's going to be a cave complex, and there's going to be rocks and substrate and everything built up around it to give it a more natural look. I'll get it positioned in there so that it's not blocking any of the views of the fish coming in and out of the other caves. But just wanted to show you before I completely fill in on top of what's happening, so that when it's all built up, you'll understand all the different layers of substrate that went into it. Okay, time to jump back in there and take it to the next stage. Okay, phase one of the 600-gallon Asian Jungle Aquarium hardscape is done. All right, we have a solid 4 inches of sand and dark fluorite substrate. Just the 2 inches of sand underneath the big buildup in the back corners, and then the 2 inches out here in the open areas of the fluorite where there's going to be planted. And then also up top on both the structures, we have the 2 inches of fluorite over top of the lava rock, over top of the cave complex. So really built up. But your typical sort of plenum design, or if you ever had dealt with pond filters where you have the larger aggregate and the smaller as you go up, allow the water to flow down. And we've done our best job of trying to hide the cave entrances there, so the fish can go all inside of that and come out over there. On the left hand side, they can go all the way back in there, and they can come out over here. And then in the middle, we have a triple entrance cave complex going through the middle. Let's go up on top and take a look at that. Okay, looking down, you can see that we have an entrance to the cave here, here, and then in the back there. So that's going to be really cool, seeing the fish come in and out of that. Again, there'll be a lot of planning here, a lot of planning up there, and up there, and then in the front of the aquarium, it's going to have a lot of low cover, really all along the edge of the hardscape and all up in here, and then with some taller growth coming out of the more built-up areas of the aquarium. So it is truly going to be the jungle, but hopefully there's plenty of separation in there, so we'll create some really nice natural pathways for the fish to swim through. Plus we've got all the cave complexes, and as anyone who's been following the channel for a little while knows, that's because there's going to be a healthy colony of clown loaches in here, and I think they're going to have a good old time. And for those people who are worrying about that looks just like a pipe sticking out there and that looks ugly, well, this was stage one of the hardscape, just the substrate and the rock. Stage two is buckets and buckets of wood that is going in there, that is going to hide all those kinds of things and the entrances and everything. So you also might be thinking, these pieces of wood look pretty small, you know, for a big aquarium like this, and that's because the intention is I'm actually using super glue to connect them together and twist ties, drilled in twist ties. So we're going to build them up. So we're going to make the wood snake through all the crevices and everything like that and hide like the entrances. And same with here. We're going to build them up and connect them together and create structures out of them, custom structures with the wood that allows us to cover all the things we want to cover and allows the wood to, you know, sort of look more naturally moving through the wood or moving through the rock, the crevices in the rock throughout the aquarium. So we're going to have wood scaping all up over top of this, and then at the very top I'm going to use the larger pieces that are in the current 125-gallon Asian Jungle Stream Aquarium, and those will give us our taller structures with the taller plants in the back. So okay, that's the goal, and now we're on to doing the wood part of the hardscape, and then we'll put in some water, and then we'll start on the plant. So we're moving right along. This is probably the last, well, you're going to see this one more time when it's not going to look like a jungle, but then after that I think we're going to be full on jungle really soon. All right, back to work. All right, there's the first crack at adding the smaller pieces of Malaysian driftwood. Sort of the look going through here is trying to have like wood root coming down between all the cracks and all the rock there, pretty much everywhere, because what's going to happen is I'm going to take the much larger pieces of Malaysian root out of the existing tank, and they're going to come up towards the back. So it's kind of like you've got a tree root coming down here, and then the same thing coming up here. So you're going to have wood root going all the way up, sort of connecting that and making that look like that's the root structure. But I can't move those larger pieces over since they have obviously algae and bacteria and plants on them, so I kind of want to put them in once I start filling this up. One of the things I did do is I tested a lot of this Malaysian drift root by just putting it in the water and see if it sinks. Much of it did, a few pieces didn't. The ones that didn't, I tried to really wedge in the rocks or I tried to glue them down. These are suspect, they might float up. If they do, I'll have to deal with that. But what I'm going to do now, I think, well, first of all, let me give you a quick look from the top. So just, you know, just trying to hide the cave entrances, soften up all the cracks in the rocks, you know, make it look like, you know, like I said, like a tree root coming down, and then mainly sort of soften up the scape. Okay, now I think the plan is to go ahead and start filling this up some, see how much of this wood has problems. You know, maybe fill it halfway or something like that, just to check on that. And then if everything, once I get whatever problems arise sorted out, I'll go ahead and move over the other wood from the existing 125-gallon Asian Jungle Stream Aquarium, and then we'll get that in here, and then we'll fill it all the way up. So yeah, as you know from other builds, once you get the hardscape and fill it up to that point, it goes pretty quick. It's just time to bring the plants over and start swapping over the seeded filter media and everything, and then, you know, can't be too long after that before you gotta get the fish in there. So, all right, we're well on our way. Let's get some water started in here. So, as you can see, some of the pieces of root, they sink, and other ones float, and of the ones I put in there, after I put in the water, you know, some of them floated, some of them didn't. So I figured what I would do is I just poured in all of them, and whichever ones sink, I'll replace those on the bottom areas, and the ones that are float, I'm gonna stick those into the rocks to keep them in place, keeping in mind that all the big wood up top is all coming from the other tank, so that stuff is all fully submerged. So as much fun as it is doing it dry, it's even more fun doing it partially filled, you know. But time to climb back in there and get these pieces of wood and replace them. Like you see here, there's pieces in the back. They're just laying there. They're fine. It's perfect. Other ones are good. But then a bunch of them did float up, so that's no good. But all right, get back in there and get this wood seeded, and then at that point, bring over the wood from the other aquarium. And then we need to fill it up and get this boy running. And quickly behind that, it'll be plant time. But let's get this wood situated first. So definitely an intermediate stage of the build. You can see it's just partially filled up. I needed to know what root floated, what root would stay submerged, sunk, and so I removed all the pieces that wanted to float, since I had enough that wanted to sink that I could get the job done with those. So as you can see, it's a little depressing looking, all covered in dust from the substrate all over the rock and everything, but it is simply just an intermediate stage, and it's actually the last of these really ugly intermediate stages before we get into the really good stuff. So we have all the smaller root coming down in between all the rocks, hiding all the caves, because we have a big cave there. We have a cave under that overhang there, which is really, you know, it's hidden, but plenty wide open for the fish. So we have the cave entrance here, hidden now, but open. Again, over here and in the back. And then, of course, there's a cave right there, and there's a cave underneath that rock overhang as well. So we have all that structure done, we have all the root in place, and now the next step is to go ahead and bring over the wood from the other aquarium, and we're going to build up the two corner things, and then two corner areas. So that'll bring our full tree root down into the smaller roots, and then once that's done, we get into the plants. Let me take you over to the 125, and I'll show you everything else that's going in here. Okay, so in addition to all the root that's in there, I have much larger pieces of Malaysian root in here, very tall ones going all the way up. So that's what's going to be the very top part of our scape in the 600 gallon. And then, of course, all of the plants from this aquarium are going to the 600 gallon, as well as some new plants that just came in the mail today. So the first step is to go ahead and pull all the root out of here, get that into the 600 gallon, and then move all the plants from here and the new plants in there, then fill it up, and then we're turning the system on. So, you know, once that happens, you know we're getting close, but still a lot of work to go. But I think once the plants are in there, really going to soften up the look of that tank, and I think it'll also help show the depth of the tank as well. Okay, so quite a bit of work ahead, taking all this wood out of here, getting it into the 600 gallon, finishing the hardscape, and then once that's done, I start taking the plants and getting those in there, transporting all the plants from the 125 behind me, as well as all the new plants that just came in the mail today. And then, of course, once that's done, we fill it all the way up and we turn the system back on. And you know, when that happens, you're really close to having the tank up. So once that's up and running, then it'll be the process of moving over the filter material, which will start, you know, right as soon as it starts running, I'll start transferring material back and forth between the two, get the bacteria started. I'll introduce bacteria and we'll start the testing regimen. And then as soon as the water quality, water chemistry is ready for it, we move the fish. All right, we're getting close. Well, as you can see, all the wood and most of the plants have been moved over from the old 125 gallon Asian Jungle Aquarium. You might not have even known that there were rocks in here. You probably could never see them before, but yeah, there's some pretty cool gray rocks that are in this aquarium. Of course, you know, like I said, it didn't have the jungle in the name for no reason, so you never really saw those. But fortunately, the new aquarium being so much larger, all of this plants out of here barely puts a dent into it. So okay, so you can see the wood's been moved over, and at the same time I really had to move the plants as well, because this system is going to transition a little faster than Amazonian islands, because the fish are so much smaller and there's so much media moved over that it's going to be pretty much one of those situations where you have to just move all the wood and plants with bacteria, all the filtration material at once, and then move the fish, because there isn't a large die-off in the 600 gallon. It is actually all new material and repurposed from here. Let's take a look at where the 600 stands right now. Okay, the wonderful in-between stage. So obviously cloudy for me stirring up all the substrate, putting in all the plants, but you can see, well, you can't see too well into the back because we have kind of a temporary lighting system going up there, and the tops over there, and we have our temporary staging area up there. So all this has got to be taken care of, and we got to get the tops on and get all the lights put the right way. That's going to be next. But just wanted to show you that we do have all the new wood is in, all the old wood is in, and it goes way up in the back, but you can't even see it yet. We'll get the lights on. That'll be easier to see. And you can see all the cave entrances. They are all well hidden. So yeah, it's going to be interesting. But yeah, this is kind of give you a real a real rough idea of the look of the tank. But so yeah, next steps here is obviously keep running it, get the water all cleaned up. But yeah, I'm going to work on the lights, and I think after that we're going to be working on moving the fish over. So all right, let's get to those lights. Okay, things are definitely looking brighter and clearing up here. Let's catch you up with what we've done here. So as you know, we wanted to get proper lighting so you can actually even see the back of the tank over there. So let's take a quick look at that. If we hop up, we see we have the same sort of setup as the 750 gallon. We'll see how it pans out once the water clears fully up. I don't know if I feel like it has enough lighting. I may have to add to this one. There are larger lights on the 750, so the bacteria has all been moved over. So all the media in there now is the media from the tank that these fish are the current 125 gallon Asian Jungle Stream Aquarium. So we'll let the bacteria do its job, and it will clear up. This is exactly what the 750 looked like at this time. So it won't take long to clear up. Water chemistry testing out great. So we're very close to moving the fish over. Since we've moved the preponderant or the majority of their media over, it won't be long. And the other thing is just there are some more plants. I have some really long tongs coming to help me plant them. So I want to soften up. I have some more of these. They're smaller plants like these, a different species, but I want to continue to soften up the edge of the rockscape there on both sides with some of the smaller plants. Maybe change this around, move him back over there a little bit. So a couple little adjustments. In terms of the plants in the back, and these guys here in the middle, they'll get quite large, so they'll fill that space nicely. And we all know the pogo plants up in the corner will take over and go crazy, so no worries on that. They've all just been uprooted and moved over, so it'll take a little bit of time to get used to their new aquarium. But yeah, so we are in the final stages here before moving the fish over. We're just going to let the filtration and the bacteria do its job for a few days, and then once I see this water all cleared up, I'm testing every day, so I'll know the water chemistry ahead of time, and assuming everything is still good, it will be time to move over the fish. And I can tell you one thing right now, from looking at the fish in the 125 without all the aquascaping in there, with all the plants and everything and the wood, and then looking at this, yeah, we're going to need a lot more fish for this aquarium. There's going to be some upcoming episodes about buying fish for the 600 gallon Asian Jungle Stream Aquarium. And I'm talking beyond the ones we already know about, the clown loaches. There's going to need to be some other fish because the scale is just completely different, and those guys are not going to, they're not even going to make a dent in this aquarium. And for anyone who hasn't, seen it in previous videos where we talked about, there will be clown loaches in here, and that is why we built the special aquascape for the clown loaches, the cave complex that goes all the way back through those rocks and comes out back over there. The cave complex has an entrance there, an entrance here, and then an entrance around back, and then a cave complex here, entrance there in the back, and again, it goes all the way back in there, as you saw earlier in the video. So yeah, this is going to be quite the playground for clown loaches, and it's going to be funny because we know that clown loaches will spend a lot of time in there, and you'll think you don't have any, and then you go to feed, and all of a sudden you'll have a clown loach army out here feeding. So it's gonna be interesting. But hopefully, like normally with aquariums, where if you provide them a lot of good solid cover, the fish become very comfortable with their surroundings. They end up coming out more and hiding less. So a lot of times you have a situation, I've seen a lot of tanks with clown loaches where they just have one piece of structure that the clown loaches can, reasonably go under or behind or, inside of, and then the rest of it's pretty barren and they don't really feel comfortable out there, so they stay hidden most of the time, except for when they're not feeding. Hopefully, with this aquarium, we have the opposite effect, where they're comfortable to be out. We've seen that in the 750, where there's so much structure that the larger cichlids feel comfortable with, and they're just always out and about right at the front of the glass. So hopefully this has the same effect, and that's why we brought the plants right up to the front. We want to have a lot of activity really everywhere. So I think that's what will look cool with this aquarium is if you just have all these layers front to back of activity, upper, fish that are swimming up top, mid guys, low guys, front, middle, back, just all happening at one time. I think that's what's going to make the 600 gallon Asian Jungle Stream Aquarium special. So it is time to let bacteria do its job and then get the fish moved over. So after having the tank running for a couple more days, which you may not believe because it still looks cloudy, but let me explain. So after having the tank run for a couple more days, I decided to make a few changes. So let's start with inside the tank, and the reason it's gotten a little cloudy again is I restructured the both back corners with the wood and pulled out the pogo, stellatus, octopus, whatever, the big crazy plant in the back. I kind of had my fill of that thing. If it's going great, it grows way too fast. And anytime there's anything that bothers it, it sheds. It kind of always sheds, really. Sort of a pain in the butt. And in the 3,000 gallon Amazon tank, I had all these baby swords. You know, that my sword plants and my mother's swords have just been pumping out babies left and right. And they're rooting all over the place. And so I decided to go ahead and take 15 of them out of there and put all these baby swords into the back corners of both sides. And so I had to move the wood around to get more space for those swords. And if you remember, like built up in there is all that that top 2 inches is fluorite and everything. So they got plenty of nutrients there. Plus the roots can go down into the lava rock beneath that, and they have the water flowing underneath all of that. So that should be good for the roots, all that root aeration from all the perforated pipes going through there. So that should be pretty cool. But the other thing I noticed is that just the lighting, it's not cutting it. So I went ahead and got 3 more 2-foot lights. So they're 2-foot versions of these lights. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to supplement the back of the aquarium. So I'll put a 2-footer, a 2-footer, and then a 2-footer over there. And hopefully that will brighten this thing up. So in terms of the plants, the other little plants, they're all been put in there. There's a bunch over there. Really just everywhere that I needed plants, there's plants now. And you got to remember, it's all going to grow up quite a bit. It's got a long ways to go. It's just the beginning, right? It's the premiere of the tank. It will certainly look like more of a jungle given time. But yeah, so it is, like I said, it's ready for the fish and everything. So I think what I'm going to do is get these other lights on there and then start moving over all the fish actually. And then once we get them in here, we'll do like the 750. We'll get you the first 5 minutes of the tank. So, you know, what does it look like with these guys, that first 5 minutes? And then after that, we'll come back around a day later and, you know, we'll do the feeding and all that good stuff. So a lot like the 750, but all right, let's get these other lights on here. Let's get those fish moved over and let's take a look. All right, this is their fodder moments in the 125. They're getting ready to move it on up to the 600 gallon. So obviously just gonna have to pull out some of these rocks and what little bit of plants are left. And then it's time to get all of these guys here into these buckets down here. Well, let's go. All right, you're probably expected to see the fish move, but I couldn't wait. I wanted to put those extra lights up on top. So let's take a look. Yeah, it's definitely much better from a lighting standpoint. Water's still a little cloudy, obviously. Didn't fix that, but yeah, it is much better. That's going to work a lot better. Can definitely see back in the corners now. Those swords, they're going to require more light than they were getting, and over there as well. So yeah, definitely a big improvement and definitely needed. Just the 3 lights was not going to cut it for this. Okay, now that I got that done, let's get these fish.
Oh man, that is no easy task. All those little fish, you know, I clear out all the stuff in the tank. You're thinking, I got these big nets, no problem. You catch a bunch more, and just still more. Oh my gosh, I've been catching those little fish for an hour and a half. But I would say about 95% of them are moved over. A few of them are still in the old tank, but the lights went off of the timer. I'm beat, so I figured, you know what, we're just gonna go with what we have. So let's take a look at the fish in their first few minutes in the 600 gallon Asian Jungle Stream Aquarium. Okay, I would say a lot like the 750 gallon, where the fish seem to just be acting like, okay, we're in a new tank, that's cool, whatever. No big deal. Other than you can sort of see the tiger, well, they're mostly all grouping up a little more than they might in the 125, or they might just spread out. But yeah, they're everywhere. Like I said, I don't know. It didn't look like so many fish in the 125. Well, it sort of did at times, but you don't realize there's so many little guys, you know, and they're fun to catch. But at any rate, yeah. So again, first 5 minutes in here, and you know, they all seem very calm, just cruising around. I don't know, it's kind of tough with these little guys, you know, who to focus on. You know, you got the zebra danio, the gouramis just cruise in the middle. The Siamese algae eaters actually just swimming around, not even on the rocks. That's kind of interesting. So see how they're just swimming, hovering in the back there. That's not necessarily typical. Normally, rather than swimming around, they would be on the rock or on the wood or on a plant or whatnot. Like I said, tiger barbs all grouped up. There's just there's so many of those rainbow sharks in here. You know, there's, oh my gosh, there's probably like 40 of them from the different variants, but they just disappear. You know, you need so many. Oh, I just saw the gold barb came out of the cave right there, so that was cool. I'm always interested to see which are the first fish to utilize the cave, but or the caves, I should say. Technically we got the 7 cave entrances, so yeah. I would say that if the water were clear, that would be ideal. You know, should I have washed all that clay substrate? Yeah, but I'm just too lazy to do that. So the filter will work it out in, you know, and when I say short order, you know, a few days to a week at the most, and it'll be clear again, or it'll be clear, period, you know. So it won't be too long, but obviously with a premiere, with just setting the tank up, I guess that's sort of what goes with the territory, is you get a little cloudy clay dust in the water. But again, like we talked about the 750, the most important thing, fish happy, healthy, cruising around in their new environment, stretching their fins in their 600-gallon Asian Jungle Stream Aquarium, and checking out their new domain. Yeah, again, everyone's acting perfectly, right? So no signs of stress or anything. Same deal with my other fish too, where they were in the other aquarium for years and years untouched. I don't, you know, really do anything in there. I just try to, you know, minimal interaction with them. Just let the environment mature, and so they're, you know, not used to. I mean, they're used to me, right? They associate the food like everyone's fish does, but they're not used to having all the contents of their aquarium ripped out and being netted and put in buckets and all that stuff. So considering that just happened, and they were, you know, unceremoniously poured in here with a bucket, you know, they acting really cool. So yeah, this is going to be interesting. So this is what I was going for this aquarium, is that there's just stuff happening everywhere. I know with some of the other aquariums with the larger fish, you tend to focus on a fish from time to time, but from here, my eyes are looking all over the place. There's stuff going on everywhere. So, and I really think this is going to be interesting when this all grows up, because you have some tall plants in the middle, but they're not super dense. So you're going to be seeing the fish swimming through that jungle. You're going to have the swords growing up, and they seem dense right now, but when they grow up on the sides, they'll span out, and you'll have fish swimming through there. Oh, back in all that wood in there, you've got all these caves and crevices down here. Then you basically got a canopy of lower crypts growing down here, and so you're always going to be able to see fish swimming underneath the canopy, like, you know, think like cherry barbs and rainbow sharks and loaches, things of that nature. So, and then of course with sort of alleyways that swim around, you have the structure in the middle. You're always going to have fish up in the water column here. A lot of topwater swimmers here as well. So a lot of those danio and rasbora, you know, they like to stay pretty high in the water column. And honestly, well, the tiger barbs, honestly, they're everywhere. Gouramis pretty high in the water column. There actually is a whole bunch of rainbows in here too. I don't know that I see them. You know, they're kind of mixed in back there with community fish, or with the schooling fish. But yeah, you know, rainbows, they're going to be up pretty high in the water column. So you're going to have it all with this aquarium. This is truly, in time, it's going to live up to its jungle name. Oh, how could I forget the Denison barbs? Those guys are going to get huge, and there's a lot of room. They're fast swimmers, so they're really going to enjoy this amount of space. So, whew. I'm happy to have 95% of these guys moved over. I'm dreading getting the other 5% of these guys, and in a day we'll do the feeding, and I'm pretty positive these guys will tear into it, because they are always aggressive feeders, and judging by the way they have adapted to the aquarium within 10 minutes now, I think they'll be just fine.
All right, finally, at least 99.99% of the fish are here now. Every time I walk by the tank, I keep finding another little straggler somewhere. But yeah, we are all inside of the 600 gallon now, and I took advantage of a sale coupon that I got good timing wise, and purchased some new fish. So we got some baby gold barbs in there. We got some more baby Harlequin rasbora and some baby cherry barbs to build up those schools, as well as some Pracox rainbows. You see a group of them there, kind of in the middle back, which add to the rainbow collection. There's 3 different types of rainbows in here now. And what I'm noticing is, also there's a group of baby Panagara. I don't know if I'll be able to find those guys, but help bolster those numbers, because we definitely have a lot more hardscape for those guys to keep clean, so need to boost those numbers up some. And what I'm noticing is the reason the water's not clearing up is because it keeps clearing off. If you remember before, all the rock, you're starting to see all the colors now on the white, the grays, you know, all these different colors in the rock. So the dust from the clay substrates just slowly getting washed off of everything. So, you know, the bright side is we're getting all the color back to all the rock, and that's obviously looks a lot nicer. But the downside is I'm gonna have to deal with the cloudy clay water for a little longer. But hey, you know, it is a premiere, and it is the beginning, so that just is par for the course, right? None of the plants are as big as they're going to be. The water's not as clear as it's going to be. The tank is as much of a jungle as it's going to be. And the fish, a lot of the fish are small. They're not as full grown. They're not going to be as beautiful as they're going to be. But that's the beauty of an ecosystem aquarium, is we get to follow the evolution of the aquarium. We get to see everything mature, everything get better. So obviously, a premiere, we're at the very, very beginning of this aquarium. And now we get to see everything get bigger, better, over the years, and just enjoy the aquarium. But now it is time for their very first feeding of the 600 gallon. Let's see how they do. Okay, there's flake food in there, and when you have a lot of barbs and danios and stuff, you know you're going to have a lot of quick to the food fish. Everyone, as expected, everyone here is pretty voracious feeders. They always have been in the 125. A lot of good hardy fish when it comes to that. Not a lot of sheepish fish or fish that are afraid to get into the mix of other guys to get their food. Definitely cannot wait for all those cherry barbs to get grown up like this guy. The red on the cherry barbs is just insane when they get bigger. Love those guys. Right down there. Also, too, my gold barbs. I can't wait for these little gold barbs to catch up with those that pair of really large ones I have. But yeah, it didn't take long for them to pretty much decimate that. This is a tough tank to show you the feeding video because I don't know where to point the camera. You know, there's stuff going on everywhere. There's guys down here eating, going through the caves. There's guys in the back. There's multiple schools in the back. There's all the top water guys back over here. There's the large gold barbs. Well, they're in front of the cave there. So much different than this little guy. But yeah, that'll be cool. Definitely the Denison barbs. The fish, I'm really looking forward to them growing up, getting larger. The Denison barbs, all the rainbow fish. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Those guys. A lot of these guys, other guys, are smaller fish. But there we go. That's the first feeding in the 600-gallon Asian Jungle, soon-to-be Jungle aquarium. Trust me, it'll be well on its way. You know how these things go. 6 months from now, this thing will be an absolute jungle, it's going to be amazing. So obviously a lot of follow-up videos. We have something to look forward to. The next follow-up video of this aquarium, I promise you, will have crystal clear water. I know you don't believe me, but it will. We'll get there. It's a marathon, not a sprint. So the most important thing is everybody's moved into their new home. Everyone's healthy, happy, bright red colored, bright pink, yellow, blue, beautiful fish swimming everywhere. Oh yeah, this is gonna be good times ahead of this aquarium. I can't wait.
Well, as always, appreciate you guys attending the live stream, and as always, thanks for watching.